Well, this is managerial economics class, and today's session, last session, we ended up discussing about the elasticity of demand, if you all remember and recollect. All right. Now, today's session will start with discussing on what is demand forecasting and how do we estimate the demand. Okay. So, concept of demand forecasting, various definitions, types of demand forecasting. We have estimation, methods of how do we estimate the demand. All this is what you will be learning in this unit. Okay. Now, to start with, what is demand forecasting? Forecasting is an act of it is an act of trying to predict what is going to happen next. Okay, for the upcoming future, maybe a next day, maybe next season, next occasion, etc. So demand forecasting plays a very significant role in, the managers, the organizations level, at every single level, at every level in the organization, forecasting happens. And particularly demand forecasting will enable a manufacturing unit, manufacturing supervisors, or say the production houses, they will know how much to produce, because it becomes very difficult when you are producing. Suppose in a day, a unit is producing somewhere between 10,000 units in a day. If they are trying to manufacture continuously every day, if they are doing without understanding whether it is required or not, whether it will hang on in the next season or not, is it required, does it make any sense? Without estimating all this, if they are continuously, since they are able to produce, they are producing continuously, this will end up stocking lot of, stock. And in order to maintain all this stock across, again, companies have to incur a lot of expenditures on warehouses, etc. Right? So again, there is an uncertainty whether the stock will remain good enough until the next demand, etc. So to avoid all this, forecasting is required. Okay, forecasting will enable, a manager to estimate, to predict the future, and based on that, slightly there may be differences in what they are forecasting and what actually happens. But yet again, this will enable them to understand the level, the amount which could be in demand, the amount of products which could be in demand, based on which they can go for productions. Okay, so in particularly, people, like Cundiff and Still, Philip Kotler have given a lot of definitions. So one among those definitions, like the one which is given in the textbooks as well, Ivan J. Douglas, he defined demand forecasting is a process of finding values for demand in future time periods. For the future time periods, finding out how many will be demanded is what is demand forecasting is. Simply demand forecasting. Now, as I've explained you, what should be the reason for demand forecasting? Why should you understand demand forecasting? Why one has to forecast the demand? Because of, the gestation periods, proper planning, estimation makes sensible decisions. Allows one to make sensible decisions. Hence, demand forecasting becomes very imperative and significant. The main objectives of demand forecasting is, firstly, see, today, whatever you're doing, but for tomorrow, you should have a plan of action. For chalking out your plan of action for tomorrow, today you should understand what will be your demand tomorrow. Based on that, today for your unit, you're going to give a target for tomorrow. You'll set their jobs for tomorrow. As I just gave an example of production of 10,000 units in a manufacturing unit. That is their capacity. Now, supposing if there is no demand tomorrow, instead of this, now the manufacturing unit will be idle. This idle time can be utilized by other, productions, by making other productions, or using the manufacturing unit positively by others. Okay, so for this again, outsourcing can be done since the unit is idle, or the manpower can be utilized in some other way, or say the plant and equipment can be utilized in such a way decisions can be taken. So firstly, the why we have to do forecasting is to understand what we are going to do tomorrow. We try to forecast. Okay, once you know that tomorrow this is what is to be demand, etc., then immediately you can chalk out the plan for tomorrow's job. Likewise, you can have a weekly planner, you can have a monthly planner, you can have a quarterly planner, half-yearly planner, and annual planners, so on and so forth, right? For short-term and even long-term goals also you will have. So forecasting plays a very important role in this way. Next, time perspective. As I mentioned just now, weekly plan or a fortnight plan or a monthly plan, so on and so forth, you can make based upon the requirement. Choice of method of forecasting. Now, here in forecasting involves a lot of method. There are many techniques which can be adopted in forecasting, out of whichever best suits your organization or your work, you can choose. Okay. Let's move on to understand the purposes of demand. Why do you need demand forecasting? I was just explaining. Appropriate scheduling of production, avoiding problems of overproduction and underproduction. See, tomorrow, next week is a season. Okay, a season of festivals, say. What all, if you are into manufacturing of those kind of related products towards the festivals, then you should start producing more. Okay, you should start producing more. Only then you will be able to supply the amount which is demanded in the market. Otherwise, you will go under production. All your products will be sold, and still the products would be probably in demand. That will be termed as underproduction. Overproduction is there is no season and you are keep on producing for over a period of time. Since it is the unit, the plant and machinery is available, the people are available, you're using and you're producing, and there is no sales happening across. That becomes overproduction. In this scenario, you need to arrange for warehouses. You need to protect all those products for the future demands. Hence, overproduction is also a problem, underproduction is also a problem or a challenge to deal with. Hence, forecasting will enable to slightly understand the demand which could be probably there in tomorrow. Okay, proper management of inventories come. Sales target would be there. Forecasting allows you to ensure that financially you are good enough to meet up that seasonal demand, etc. Sometimes in the long term, you need to understand you need to adopt this forecasting just to ensure that capital planning properly is done. Okay, capital, likewise, suppose in a year-long planning or say 5 years plan you have in your hand for your organization. And in this 5 years, you want to attain some goal. Okay, now in order to attain that goal, you will break down all those goals into, responsibilities towards each and every section. And so will be the financial department, where they have to ensure that capitals, whatever is required for the purpose of production or for the purpose of sales to happen, they need to ensure that this sufficient capital is available with them. So long-term forecasting also, one need demand forecasting. One needs to understand what would be the demand. If today it is, your products are, much in demand, what about tomorrow? What about a year later? What about a year after 5 years? Where would you stand? How would you make changes? How would you answer the changes which are happening across the market? All this one has to understand, and all this revolves around the forecasting. Only when you are good enough to do the forecasting, you will be in a position to better understand strategies, changing pattern of consumption, all this now, the GDP of India, the purchasing power, the various schemes given by the government for long-term exclusively, you have to take into consideration to understand the forecasting of the demand. Okay. Next is types of demand forecasting. How do you make forecastings? One is active forecasting and passive forecasting. In this, the condition is future changes which are happening in the firm, okay, actively which are happening will be considered. Whereas in passive forecasting, the prediction is about future, and the assumption is that the firm will never change whatever could be the action. Okay, so that is active and passive forecasting. And then we have economic and non-economic forecasting. Now, the sociologists keep talking about what could be the technological changes, cultural changes, social changes happening across in India. The political changes also will play a vital role. So economic and non-economic. In long-term planning, when you are considering the elements of economic and non-economic into making your forecast, then you will call this type of forecasting as economic and non-economic forecasting, where you focus more on the long-term planning, 5 years planning, Niti Aayog, all this. If you understand the planning commission of India, then you will understand how you as a company would contribute and would grow accordingly. So 5 years plan is already laid. Now you will make your own plan for next 5 years as a company in line with the Niti Aayog, and thereafter, or you will dilute this plan of 5 years of your firm into all the other departments. So likewise, you use this economic and non-economic forecasting method. Then you have short-term and long-term planning forecasting. Short-term is all about a very specific period. It can be a week, a fortnight, or monthly, or even quarterly. Long-term planning is all about months. A year, less than a year is short-term. More than a year is long-term forecasting. So forecasting, when you're specifically targeting to understand where you would stand after 5 years, that is long-term forecasting. Internal and external forecasting are those where the company happens to do research on, invest on research, and tries to identify the various issues and challenges across and how do they overcome. So that is internal, when it happens within the organization, within the firm, within the company, or supposing in case if any external factors like political, technological, cultural, or socio-cultural, elements. When you are considering all this, you call it to be an external forecasting. And then we have micro and macro level. Micro is a very small area which is covered within an organization. Macro level is extensively. Okay, the larger the area, the larger the coverage will become macro level planning. Conditional and non-conditional. Sometimes an organization, based upon certain assumptions, they are into like, yes, we want to know this. So the condition makes them to estimate the future, to forecast the future. Whereas non-conditional is, it becomes a routine. Irrespective of whatever is happening across, you are continuously forecasting, and the variables here are independent. So you do keep on doing. It is your regular practice. Conditional is demand. Demand for a particular research to happen, and based on that, you try to forecast. General and specific forecasting. General and specific forecasting is a forecasting which wherein general forecasting, it is useful to the firm to forecast across all the areas, whereas specific a particular area, suppose in a manufacturing unit, power plant and machinery, it all depends upon the company and how large the manufacturing units are. Accordingly, the specific in general would be done. Okay, maybe it could be possessing raw material, moving semi-finished goods from one level to another level. Packaging department, should receive finished products for packaging. So that way, level-wise also forecasting can be done, which becomes a very specific forecasting. Whereas general, overall, okay, overall considering various other factors which influence the forecast. Then consumer goods and producer goods, again, the classification of durable goods based on consumers and non-consumers, like producers, retailers, wholesalers, etc. Suppose if the logistics is the condition of the logistics is not supporting, all the lorry drivers, one who carries the logistics from one state to other state, are on dharna. Okay, so there is a situation where all your logistics will stop and there is no movement of goods. So hence, in case in future, if you find such uncertain events happening, you can predict them. I mean, you can analyze them, and how do you overcome that particular situation can be happened based upon your identification. So that, you should know when, firstly, whether the consumer is in direct contact with you or you are through a channel, and this channel includes the logistics. Likewise, there are many channels involved in reaching the consumer goods. So in this process, one has to understand, when you become dependent, how all the other channel members are also able to assist you in reaching your goal. So that is about consumer durable goods and non-durable goods. Okay. Here it is symbolically represented. Demand is equals to YSPP, and here Y stands for households disposable income. In the concept of demand, last sessions we've been learning about disposable income. Out of the income received, there is a proportionate amount which is being kept aside for expenditures. That is called as household disposable income. So within that limits, the households will be able to expend. S is denoting population. P is the price of the commodity. Again, P is the price of the related goods. Okay. And Next, we have capital goods and producer goods. Now, what are capital goods and producer goods? The demand for capital goods includes, demand. This again depends upon the profitability. The more the profitability, the more the company will be growing towards attaining higher, levels. And in this process, they may try to buy new equipments, better technologies, etc. So the capital goods would be high. So depending here on the short-term plans and long-term plans of an organization, the capital goods can be forecasted. Likewise, if producer goods, if you talk about producer goods, are those goods, which the producer happens to buy, and the demand for capital goods is here in case is all industries related using this, like textile machinery, in expansion of industries, say suppose there is a replacement of machinery, the very big huge machinery, it is a replacement. Okay, so in such cases also capital should be diverted towards, and all these enables a huge amount. So for this also, how long, suppose an equipment is been ordered by the company, then how long, what is the life of that equipment, that complete record should be maintained, and daily wise or weekly wise related to that equipment, warranties, guarantees, checkups, regular repairs, etc. should be done. And in time, and again forecasting should be done properly by the concern related people, so that they could get ready, the company could get ready to invest again in the future expenditures which are caused on those investments. Like repairing, it could be initially, it may not, but later in the stages, while it is used by the company, wear and tear happens, because of which there could be chances that some major repairs could happen, and after the warranties are over, thereafter some time later it is found that the machinery becomes obsolete and the new machinery is supposed to be used. Suddenly the company cannot invest all the a huge amount on that new machinery which is planned to buy. Hence a forecasting in these areas also needs to be done, so as to ensure that they take up right decisions at the right time, and without disturbing the other departments. All right, so these are all the various ways of forecasting the demand. And then we have, these are all like existing. And now let's see how a demand forecasting done for a new product, because new product is no more not yet available in the market. Okay, for an existing, yeah, you can understand, but how do you estimate for a new product? So for a new product, these are the few methods which you can concentrate on, like evolution method. Evolution is beginners, how do you look at your a product to grow in the market? A substitutes approach, yes. Before launching your product, try to understand your substitutes which are available in the product, how they are being in demand. By understanding the substitutes, you will be in a position to forecast about your product. Growth curve approach, yeah, growth curve approach is one method statistically which will enable a person to understand its growth curve by focusing on the elements of demand and growth pattern. Opinion poll, yeah, for a new product, one can take opinion poll from the customers, consumers, and at various levels, and based on that, some estimations can be done. Similarly, sales experience approach, yeah, complete sales team can be called upon, and their experiences, their feedbacks from the customers, because they're the one who are meeting the customers directly, right? So they can be called for in one-to-one interaction or group interactions to better understand if this new product is launched, what would be the experience? What are the customers' expectations? Will the company be able to meet up the customers' expectations? Will it be good, or does it need any corrections or improvements? So that way, sales experiences can be taken into account for forecasting the demand for a new product. Vicarious approaches. This is all about the reactions of new product directly or indirectly, with the help of some specialized dealers, like in the case of sales experience, salesmen's experiences, sales data experiences, even dealers also, agents also can be called in or can be interviewed on, can be, asked for, the feedbacks of the customers, and based on which, taste and preferences, understanding a new product can be developed. All right. So that is all about forecasting the demand. Are you all clear? Anyone, any doubt until here? Yeah. Well, next is demand estimation. Now, this demand estimation is a process which is, like amount of demand for a given product. It tries to estimate amount of demand, how much number, okay, for a given product, what will be the demand in terms of number. Now, various methods of demand estimating. There are three popular methods which are used by economists to forecast, to estimate the demand. And to do so, we have experimental surveys, survey of consumers, statistical analysis. Now, in earlier case forecasting, you have seen all those different ways to do the forecasting, which does not involve paper pen. Okay, it is just understanding, collecting feedback, etc. And based on those only, the forecasting can be done just by observing. But here in estimating, you take into consideration the method, the experimental method, statistics, and surveys. Okay, so firstly, we have experimental survey. In this, you have broadly two methods, actual market method and market simulation method. Actual market method is an experience. This is taken at a small scale. Okay, and this is very limited for a period, for a very short-term period, limited for short term. And exclusively, if you talk about actual market method, these are not controllable. Okay, and they cannot include experiments, they cannot include experiments. Hence, actual market method, because you go into the field and try to understand. And here, because of this very reason, you will not be in a position to control control the survey. So here it becomes little complicated. Market simulation method is wherein it is, wherein the consumer's behavior is studied based on the price and quality of the good. Sometimes even packaging and advertisement, all these are taken into consideration. Okay, so yes, this has got certain limitations as well, wherein the consumer's participation in this, method is gets disturbed because of the shopping behavior. Like, human tendency, you go to buy one thing and you end up buying multiple things. Sometimes you go with a proper planning of buying something from so-and-so brand, but you end up buying some, from some other brands. You switch your brand. Now, this happens because of your shopping behavior. And market simulation method, doesn't works well uh, because of this reasons that shopping behavior of each person differs and differs because of the various reasons. All right. And even the cost which is incurred in order to conduct this method also is very high. Okay. And because of which the market simulation method is not so popular, yet it is used by some in order to estimate the demand for a given product. Next is customers intervention through the help of surveys. Now, survey method is one of the most popular method out. Again, in this, we have two methods. One is census method and the other one is a sample survey method. Now, census method is not a easiest task again. Why? Because census means includes each and every element in a given unit. That means each and every population should be included in census without leaving anyone. Okay, so survey should be done from all those. And this usually is done by the government, central government. The amount of expenditures incurs to conduct the census method is huge, which cannot be affordable that easily by small scale, medium scale, and even large scale also. It is difficult. So, yes, the survey which is done by the government, that is available on the public domain, right to information. These are taken by the companies to understand the the socio-cultural attitudes, behavior, or age, gender, taste and preferences. Because in census, if you all remember, if you could recollect last census and understand your experiences from those experiences, people a person comes to your home, asks all the details about your family members. They even ask about the home appliances, the kind of items that we are using, whether we have refrigerator, cooler, AC, all such information is gathered. So these are all available in the public domain. Now companies use this data to estimate the future demand for their product. Suppose if they find more of bachelors going to foreign countries for higher education, so there can be a company who is interested to launch their brand in India, their education company here in India, by offering various courses which on par with the foreign countries. So this information can be collected from these surveys and they can use it for the purpose of their planning and forecasting and estimation. So likewise, there are many companies. You talk about Johnson and Johnson is one of the company which happens to look in for the data from these census and gathers the ratio, expected mothers, next to 10 years, how many, women's come into that category, and then they estimate the demand for their products. Likewise, there are many companies who takes this information. Besides, another method, which is the very popular one, which is also affordable and controllable, that sample survey method. Sample survey method is a method which is wherein a sample is selected from the whole population firstly. Thereafter, that sample either through interview method or to paper and pen method, there are certain questions based on which the conclusions will be drawn and their answers will be taken into consideration for estimating the future demand. Okay, that is sample survey method. And next we have the third method as statistical analysis method. Now, in this statistical analysis method, I don't know how many of you have known about time series. Trend analysis. Do anyone know? Ratio analysis, anyone? Time series? No. Okay. So what happens in time series? I'll just explain here one for your understanding. What happens in time series is trend analysis, suppose. Okay. For trend analysis, suppose this is first year, second year, third year, okay, fourth year, fifth year. Now we are in 23, right? This is 23, say. This was 22. This is 21. This is 20. Okay. So the sales are pointed here. All the sales. The curve is slightly like this. So based upon these, y is equals to mx plus c, where m is slope. Okay. So in this, what are the sales for every year? Now, this being previous 5 years, like 23, 20, 21, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, all this 5 years data already should be having. So these data will be plotted on the graph, followed by it will be extended for the future. That is upcoming year, that is 24. Okay. For the coming year, next 1 year or 2 years, based upon these previous data, future will be estimated. Future sales will be estimated. That method which we use is referred as trend analysis, time series, regression, correlation, price value index, Fisher's index, price index. All these are various methods which are adopted under statistical analysis in order to understand and estimate the demand for a given product. Okay, is it clear? And see here,
Yes, ma'am.
you are discussed simple regression analysis, multiple regression analysis, and steps in how regression analysis. See here, you are not doing any problems. It is just your understanding that how statistics is used to estimate. Okay. At degree level, you should have already learned this regression analysis and all. Anyways, even if you learn, no bothering, because we are not into working out problems on regression here. It is simply to understand the various elements which consist of regression. You can see dependent variable is y and independent is x. A is constant and y is intercept. B is slope. I just told you, in my formula which I gave, y is equals to mx plus a. M is slope. Here it is b. B. Okay, the same formula. M is slope. Here it is b. A is constant value which doesn't change for any given situation. And this is slope which defines the curve in the graph. Okay. And then we have mu as random error, which is considered to be a element while forecasting and estimating. Okay. And likewise is multiple regression. And how do you do this regression analysis? Is step 1, you have to identify the variables, like which is independent and what is dependent. Next, you gather the data from the records, then apply this on the regression model, interpret the results. Based on the results, decision will be taken about the demand estimations, right? Yeah. Any doubts? Anyone, any queries on these?
Ma'am, what will be the value of mu, ma'am?
The mu is a random error which will be provided. here one has to only identify what is independent and what is dependent, variable. Dependent variable and independent variable. Independent, irrespective of whatever happens, like season, etc., they are continuously in demand. But dependent, like suppose because of some reasons, because of sales happening of, from substitute or complementary products, if there is a change in there, the change will happen here also for dependent variable. So dependent variable and independent variable identification is important. Followed by you have constant value, which doesn't change for any given reason, which is like fixed, which is fixed. Okay. And then we have this slope, which is again measured in terms of independent variable. A random error is a scope of error, which is estimated and put up. See, no human is 100% perfect, right? And so is the statistical analysis. So a very small, error is given place in our estimations. Okay. So if I say 25,000 units are required tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow, for some given reason, if instead of 25,000, if the demand goes up to 30,000 or say 20,000, there is, because of some reason, that is dependent variable, because of those variables, the figure is changing here. No formula, no, estimation will be exactly meeting up the tomorrow's uncertain future. It is an estimation, more or less, somewhere either, less or more, it will be somewhere between these two figures. So that way we try to estimate the demand. Okay. With this, what happens? You at least know that tomorrow minimum 25,000. So you are ready for 5,000 is lacking if the demand is going up by 30,000. If it is not, coming, the demand is 20,000, so 5,000 below. So 5,000 warehouse, maintenance expenditures, etc., can be incurred easily. Whereas you are without any, forecasting, without any estimation, simply you are into your regular production and you go on production 25,000, and they're all piled up. That becomes difficult for company to manage. Okay, where they should keep all those produced products, whatever stage it could be, raw material, semi-finished or finished, they have to retain all those until the next demand comes, right? So that becomes a challenge. So there is a probable error that can be, that can happen in any formula that we are using. So for that, a scope is given, which is referred as random error. Okay. If you look at the questions, you have types of demand forecasting and methods of demand estimation. Survey, statistical, these methods you can explain. All right. Then we have supply analysis. So on till today, now we've been learning about demand, what is demand, what is elasticity of demand, types of demand, forecasting and estimation. The other element, which is equally important, is supply. Now, what is supply? How do you analyze supply is what you will be learning. The various assumptions, law of supply, like in case of demand of supply, law of demand. Price and quantity were the two elements that you learned in. So you will be also learning on supply as well, meaning, types, what is supply, and then determinants, what are the various factors. Then we have types, exceptions, law of supply, curves, elasticities. Same like in demand, you will be learning about supply analysis. Okay, we have another 10 minutes to go. I think we will be halfway. Same kind of curves that you learned in what you say demand are there for supply, but yeah, unlike demand, it is not divided into various units. It is all summed up in one. What is supply? What is supply? Anyone? Supply is anything which is offered to the market by agents, wholesalers, retailers, companies directly, consumers, whatsoever, whatever role you are into, whatever you are able to bring it to the market is supply for the purpose of selling it. Okay. Now there are two types of supplies. One is joint supply and the other one is composite supply. What is joint supply? It is an act where both goods which are supplied and produced are together. They are not separated. Okay. Sometimes it so happens, no, that some goods have their origin from a particular place and they need to be processed at that place. You cannot carry it. Why? The reason is they may not be, carry forward goods, or they may not be in a position to be useful later date. If it is produced here, you have to use it here itself, because of which they are termed as joint supply. And the examples here are given as wheat and straw, wool, and non-veg, etc. And we have composite supply. What is composite supply? Now, for a given product, there are multiple alternative ways available for the supply. That is not only the one source. Okay, suppose in order to cook your dinner or lunch, you have various ways. You have electricity, you have gas, kerosene, oil, candle, whatnot. All this you can use, right? So these kind of products comes as composite supply. And when when you look at a product which is been originated from a place, and there itself it needs to be processed so that easily and safely it can move on to the next markets. That is joint supply. Understood? Yes. What is supply and stock? Supply, by now what is supply? Supply is something which is offered to the market, which is brought to the market. That is supply. Successfully, it is available in the market. How? What are the various sources? Agents, middlemen, companies, etc. What is stock? Stock is, something which is available and lying in the market. Understood? Stock is something which is available and lying in the market, which can be offered for a sale at short notice. Okay. Stock, again, not only in the market, but it can be at production in the form of raw material, in the form of semi-finished goods and finished goods. So stock can be at various levels, but supply is something which is moving from one place to another place, which is reaching is marketplace for the sale. Understood? So don't go, understanding supply and stock to be the same or more or less a very thin line. You say no, supply and stock are two different things. Okay. Yeah, so with this, we'll stop this today's class and we'll continue in tomorrow's with the determinants of supply. All right. So, yeah. Any doubts until here?
Ma'am, regarding the assignment, can you please brief the problems which are given in the assignment in tomorrow's class, ma'am?
Assignment problems?
Yes, ma'am. Theory part is okay, but problem-wise, we are facing some difficulty, ma'am.
Okay. Can you please show me those problems by sharing it?
Just a minute.
Or you can WhatsApp?
Shall I share in the chat area, ma'am?
Yeah, share it. Can you share there? Is it possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I have sent it. Just open it.
I didn't receive, ma.
The chat section.
Sunita. Yes, yes. It is loading. Actually, there is some internet problem here with mine. Yes, I received. This is your assignment, huh? You're talking about this Mahindra Techno problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mahindra Techno Private Limited develops customized software and general utility software. The normally generates 3,000 units of per month at a total cost of 27. However, it can support at full capacity and the clientele of 3,500 units per month at a total cost. This is very simple. And this has got one illustration in your textbook. I shall show you. Wait. If you have your textbook, just open. You have to calculate average cost and all this. We discussed this problem actually. TC. Yeah, here it is. See this, you can see the demand, change in demand and change in quantity.
Yes, ma'am.
Average cost, average variable cost, ABC, and total fixed cost, TF. Average cost per unit under normal working conditions. Yes. You follow this example. Good if you are able to do it. Otherwise,
try to do, ma'am, or else I'll try to ask. If not, I'll ask you tomorrow's class.
Yes, surely. Okay, tomorrow's session. In case you just leave a message, I'll work out and send you. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Happy learning, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.